The notification pinged on my phone at exactly 9:47 a.m. on a Tuesday that would reshape my entire existence. I was debugging code for a client's inventory management system when the Instagram alert lit up my screen. My wife, Seren, had been tagged in something called Operation New Husband, Schedule Drop. I stared at the post. Then I stared some more. Hayes Rellin, meet your replacement candidates, read the caption under a color-coded spreadsheet. Our girl Seren deserves better, and we're making it happen today. Follow along for updates. The schedule was meticulously planned. Breakfast date at 8 a.m. with Brad the personal trainer. Coffee meetup at 10 a.m. with Jake the investment banker. Lunch at noon with Trevor the restaurant owner. The list continued through dinner and drinks, ending with something ominously labeled after party, location TBD. Each entry included photos of the men, their Instagram handles, and little heart emojis. Seren's friends had tagged her, tagged the men, and tagged what appeared to be half the city. The post already had 47 likes and climbing. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the comments. Get it, girl, wrote Tara, the ringleader of Serene's friend group. Time to upgrade, added Bree, always the enabler. You deserve someone who appreciates you, chimed in Jen, though something in her tone felt different. I sat in my cramped home office, surrounded by empty energy drink cans and the gentle hum of 3 computer monitors, trying to process what I was seeing. My wife of 8 years was apparently speed dating her way through a roster of eligible bachelors while I optimized database queries. The logical part of my brain kicked in first. This had to be some kind of joke, an elaborate prank, maybe. Seren had been distant lately, sure, but this was beyond anything I could have imagined. I checked our shared Google Calendar. There it was, plain as day. Girls' Day Out, various locations. She had synced the schedule to our joint account, probably by accident. Each location was listed with precise timing. The breakfast spot was only 12 minutes from our house. My phone buzzed again. A text from Seren. Going out with the girls today. Don't wait up. I screenshot everything, every post, every comment, every tag. I saved them to a folder on my desktop labeled Evidence before I even fully understood why. The breakfast location was Millfield Diner on Oakwood Street. I knew it well. Seren and I had eaten there on our 3rd anniversary. I pulled up the restaurant's Instagram page and started refreshing it, looking for any signs of my wife and her date. At 9:52 a.m., Tara posted a story. First candidate reporting for duty. The video showed a muscular guy in a tank top walking into the diner. The camera panned to show Seren's car in the parking lot. I recognized the car because it was technically mine. The spare vehicle I kept for emergencies, a silver Honda Civic with a dashboard camera I had installed after a minor accident last year, the camera that automatically activated whenever the car was started. My pulse quickened as I realized what this meant. Every location, every passenger, every conversation would be recorded and time-stamped. I opened the dashcam app on my phone and began downloading the morning's footage. The first clip showed Seren getting into the car at 7:43 a.m., checking her makeup in the rearview mirror. She looked nervous, but excited. The second clip captured her pulling into the diner parking lot at 7:58 a.m. She sat in the car for a full minute, reapplying lipstick and adjusting her hair. Then she walked toward the entrance where the tank top guy was waiting. I watched my wife hug a stranger like they were old friends. The Instagram posts kept coming. Tara was live tweeting the entire event like it was the Super Bowl. Chemistry check. Looking good so far. Followed by, breakfast date success. On to candidate number 2. I called in sick to work. There was no way I could concentrate on code while my marriage imploded in real time on social media. The coffee shop was next. Grindhouse Coffee on 5th Street. I knew the owner, a guy named Pete who had gone to high school with my brother. I wondered if he knew what was happening at his establishment. At 10:15 a.m., Bree posted a photo of Seren sitting across from a man in a business suit. "Investment banker vibes," she captioned it. "Someone's getting spoiled tonight." The comments were getting worse. People I didn't recognize were cheering Seren on, calling her brave for finally making a move. Some of them seemed to know details about our marriage that I had never shared publicly. "About time she dumped that computer nerd," wrote someone named Ashley. "Hayes always seemed boring anyway," added a profile I didn't recognize. I screenshot everything and added it to my folder. The evidence was mounting, but evidence of what exactly? Adultery? Public humiliation? Both? My phone rang. Omar, my best friend since college, and the only person who knew how bad things had gotten between Seren and me. "Dude, are you seeing this?" Omar's voice was tight with anger. "I'm seeing it," I said. "What are you going to do?" I looked at my computer screen, where I had 17 browser tabs open, each one documenting a different aspect of my wife's very public betrayal. "I'm going to let them finish." "What do you mean?" "They're creating a paper trail, Omar. Every post, every photo, every location check-in. They're documenting everything for me." Omar was quiet for a moment. "You're thinking about the prenup." "I'm thinking about a lot of things. The prenuptial agreement had been Serene's idea, actually. Her parents had insisted on it after their own messy divorce. The document was ironclad when it came to infidelity. If either party cheated, they forfeited their claim to marital assets and alimony. I had signed it without argument because I never imagined I would need it." "How much evidence do you need?" Omar asked. "More than this. But they're just getting started." The lunch location was posted at 11:47 a.m. Salvatore's Italian restaurant on Main Street. "Time for the main event," Tara announced. "Trevor owns 3 restaurants and drives a Maserati." I checked the dashcam footage again. Seren had picked up passenger number 3 at 11:32 a.m. This time she had let him drive. The camera caught their conversation as they pulled out of the parking lot. "Your friends really went all out," the man said. His voice was smooth, confident. "They think I deserve better," Seren replied. "And what do you think?" There was a pause. "I think they might be right." I played the clip 3 more times, making sure I had heard correctly. Then I saved it to my evidence folder with a timestamp and location tag. The restaurant posts were more elaborate. Bree had apparently appointed herself as the official photographer. She posted a series of shots showing Seren and Trevor sharing appetizers, laughing over wine, and holding hands across the table. "Look at that smile," Tara commented. "When's the last time Hayes made her smile like that?" The answer was our anniversary dinner 6 months ago, but nobody asked me. I spent the afternoon monitoring every social media platform I could think of. The hashtag #Seren's new man was trending locally. People were voting on their favorite candidates and placing bets on who would get a second date. My wife had become a reality show, and I was the villain being edited out. At 2:30 p.m., Jen posted something that caught my attention. "Some people don't appreciate what they have until it's gone, but by then it's too late." The comment felt pointed, personal. Unlike the cheerleading from Tara and Bree, Jen's posts had an edge to them, like she was enjoying this for reasons beyond friendship. The afternoon date was mini golf at Adventure Putt. The evening date was dinner at the new steakhouse downtown. Each location was documented with military precision: photos, videos, timestamps, and running commentary from Seren's cheerleading squad. I cross-referenced everything with our joint credit card account. Sure enough, charges were appearing in real time. Lunch at Salvatore's, $127.43, mini golf, $32 gas station, $15.67. She was using our shared card to fund her dating spree. I called the credit card company and requested detailed receipts for every transaction. The customer service representative was happy to email them to me within the hour. By 6 p.m., I had assembled a comprehensive timeline of my wife's day. Every location, every expense, every social media post, and hours of dash cam footage. The evidence folder on my computer had grown to over 200 files. But the day wasn't over yet. The dinner location was posted at 6:23 p.m. "Final rose ceremony," Tara announced, using bachelor terminology. "Tonight's winner gets the after party." The winning candidate appeared to be someone named Landon. He wasn't one of the original scheduled dates. According to the posts, he was a surprise addition who had swept Seren off her feet during the afternoon. I looked him up on social media. Landon Pickett, 41, manager at Elite Fitness Gym. Divorced, no kids, and based on his photos, spent most of his time working out and taking selfies. He was also, I realized with growing anger, Seren's personal trainer. The affair suddenly made sense. This wasn't a spontaneous dating experiment organized by well-meaning friends. This was an elaborate cover story for a relationship that was already happening. I checked Seren's gym membership records. She had been training with Landon 3 times a week for the past 4 months, the same 4 months she had been working late and too tired to talk when she got home. My phone buzzed with a text from Seren. "Going to be very late tonight. Don't wait up." I replied, "Take your time. Enjoy your date." She didn't respond. At 8:47 p.m., Bree posted a video from the steakhouse. Seren and Landon were sharing dessert, feeding each other bites of chocolate cake. The caption read, "When you know, you know." The comments were getting more explicit. People were making suggestions about how the evening should end. Seren was liking and responding to them. "He's definitely coming home with me tonight," she had replied to one particularly suggestive comment. I screenshot it and added it to the folder. At 10:15 p.m., Tara posted a final update. "Mission accomplished. Our girl is getting the happy ending she deserves. Location, private." But the dash cam was still recording. I watched the live feed as Seren and Landon drove to the Marriott downtown. I watched them check in together. I watched them take the elevator to the 4th floor. The camera couldn't follow them inside, but it didn't need to. The evidence was already overwhelming. I opened my laptop and began composing an email to my attorney, Robert Chen. I attached every screenshot, every video, every receipt, and every piece of documentation I had collected. The subject line read, "Prenuptial agreement, infidelity clause, immediate action required." I hit send at 11:43 p.m. Then I called Seren. She answered on the 4th ring, slightly out of breath. "Hayes? What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong," I said calmly. "I just wanted to thank you." "Thank me for what?" "For the evidence. All of it. Every post, every photo, every receipt, every moment you spent with your trainer today. Thank you for documenting everything so thoroughly." The line went silent. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said finally. "The prenuptial agreement has an infidelity clause, Seren. You forfeit everything if you cheat. And thanks to your friend's social media documentation and our shared accounts, I have enough evidence to prove adultery 10 times over." I could hear her breathing heavily. "Hayes, let me explain." "There's nothing to explain. You made your choice, and your friends made sure the whole world could watch. Now you get to live with the consequences." "I'm coming home right now." "No, you're not." I hung up and immediately changed all the door codes on our smart lock system. Then I went to our bedroom and packed everything that belonged to her into 3 suitcases. By the time her car pulled into the driveway 23 minutes later, her belongings were sitting on the front porch. She tried the front door first, then the back door, then the garage. None of them would open for her. I watched through the security camera as she pounded on the front door. "Hayes, open this door right now." I activated the intercom system. "Your friends organized a very thorough husband hunting expedition today. I suggest you ask them to help you find somewhere to stay tonight." "You can't lock me out of my own house." "It's not your house anymore. Check your email. My attorney sent the paperwork an hour ago." She tried calling me 17 times. I declined every call. At 1:23 a.m., she finally gave up and drove away. I poured myself a drink and sat down at my computer to review the evidence one more time. Tomorrow, the real work would begin. I woke up Wednesday morning to 47 missed calls and a voicemail box that was completely full. The notifications on my phone had multiplied overnight like some kind of digital virus. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, text messages, and emails from people I hadn't heard from in years. The story had gone viral. Someone had screenshot Tara's posts from the previous day and shared them on Reddit with the title, "Wife's Friends Organize Public Dating Day. Husband Files for Divorce in Real Time." The thread had over 12,000 comments and was climbing. Most of the comments were supportive. People were calling Seren and her friends everything from trashy to sociopathic. A few users had done their own detective work, finding additional social media posts and piecing together the timeline. But the best part was the update thread someone had created using publicly available court records. My attorney had worked fast. The divorce papers had been filed at 8:30 a.m., less than 12 hours after I sent him the evidence. I made coffee and started returning phone calls. The first was from my brother Mike in Denver. "Holy cow, Hayes. I saw the Reddit post. Are you okay?" "I'm better than okay," I said. "I'm free." "What are you going to do now?" "Right now? I'm going to work. I have 3 client projects due this week, and I'm not letting Seren's drama interfere with my business." But even as I said it, I knew that wasn't entirely true. I had been planning my next move since 3 a.m. when I finally fell asleep at my computer. The second call was from Omar. "Dude, you're famous. My cousin in Seattle just sent me the Reddit thread." "Fame wasn't the goal," I said. "What was the goal?" "Justice. And I'm not done yet." Omar knew me well enough to recognize the tone in my voice. "What are you planning?" "Serene's friends created this mess. They documented everything, tagged everyone, and made sure the whole world could watch. Now they get to deal with the consequences." "What kind of consequences?" I had spent the early morning hours researching each of Serene's friends. Tara worked in marketing for a family-friendly restaurant chain. Bree was a substitute teacher. Jen worked at a bank. All of them had jobs that required a certain level of professional discretion and moral character. "The kind that come from having your employer see what you do in your spare time," I said. "Hayes, be careful. Don't do anything you'll regret." "I regret marrying someone who could humiliate me like this. I regret trusting people who were planning to destroy my marriage behind my back. I regret being nice to friends who were secretly rooting for my relationship to fail. But I won't regret making sure they face consequences for their actions." I hung up and opened my laptop. The first email was to Tara's employer, a regional restaurant chain called Family First Dining. I attached screenshots of her posts from the previous day, along with a polite note explaining that I thought they should be aware of how their marketing manager was representing their brand on social media. The second email went to the school district, where Bree worked as a substitute teacher. I included her posts encouraging adultery and her explicit comments about how Seren's evening should end. The third email was to Jen's bank. Her posts had been less enthusiastic than the others, but she had still participated in the public humiliation of my marriage. I sent all 3 emails before 9 a.m. Then I drove to work and tried to pretend it was a normal day. My phone started ringing at 10:30 a.m. Tara's number. "Hayes, what did you do?" "I shared your social media posts with people who might find them interesting," I said. "The same way you shared my wife's adultery with the internet." "I just got called into HR. They're talking about suspension." "That sounds like a personal problem." "You're ruining my life." "You ruined my marriage. I'd say we're even, except you did it publicly and I'm just sharing the evidence you created." She hung up. The second call came from Bree an hour later. "Hayes, please. I need this job. I have student loans." "You should have thought about that before you organized a public dating event for a married woman. It was just supposed to be fun." "Adultery isn't fun, Bree. It's a betrayal, and you didn't just enable it, you celebrated it and broadcast it to the world. I'll delete the posts. Too late. The internet is forever. The third call was from Jen, but her tone was different. You're making a mistake, she said. How's that? You think this is over, but it's just getting started. Seren isn't going to just disappear. What's that supposed to mean? It means you don't know the whole story. She hung up before I could ask what she meant. I spent the afternoon working on client projects and monitoring social media. The Reddit thread had grown to over 20,000 comments. Someone had created a timeline of events with links to archived versions of all the social media posts. Another user had found Landon's Instagram and was sharing his thirsty comments on other women's photos. The internet had turned Seren's dating day into a case study of modern relationship toxicity. At 3 p.m., I got a call from an unknown number. Is this Hayes Rellin? Yes. This is Detective Morrison with the city police. We've received a complaint about harassment and stalking. We'd like you to come in for a conversation. My stomach dropped. What kind of complaint? The complainant alleges that you've been following her, taking pictures, and making threatening phone calls. Who's the complainant? Seren Rellin. I almost laughed. Detective, I have been at work all day. I have security footage, time-stamped computer logs, and witnesses who can verify my location. I haven't been anywhere near my wife. Can you come in this afternoon? We just want to clear this up. I called my attorney first. Robert Chen advised me to cooperate, but to bring documentation of everything that had happened in the past 24 hours. The police station was a 15-minute drive from my office. Detective Morrison was a middle-aged woman with tired eyes and a skeptical expression. Tell me about yesterday, she said. I showed her everything, the social media posts, the timeline, the dash cam footage, the credit card receipts. I explained how I had discovered the dating day and how I had documented the evidence. At what point did you follow or contact Mrs. Rellin? She asked. I called her once at 11:43 p.m. to inform her that I was filing for divorce. That was the only direct contact I initiated. What about the harassment of her friends? I sent their employers screenshots of their public social media posts, the same posts they used to publicly humiliate my marriage. Detective Morrison reviewed the evidence for 20 minutes. Then she closed the folder. Mr. Rellin, I don't see any evidence of stalking or harassment here. Your wife's friends made these posts public, and you have the right to share public information with whoever you choose. So I'm free to go? You're free to go, but let me give you some advice. This situation is emotionally charged. Don't do anything that could escalate it further. I drove home feeling vindicated but wary. If Seren was willing to file false police reports, what else was she planning? I got my answer at 6 p.m. when I pulled into my driveway. Seren was sitting on my front porch with two people I didn't recognize, a man in an expensive suit and a woman with a camera. Hayes, the woman called out. Channel 7 News. Can we get a statement about your divorce? I parked in the garage and entered through the side door, avoiding the reporters entirely. My phone buzzed with a text from Seren. We need to talk. This has gone too far. I replied, talk to my attorney. She texted back, I'm not leaving until you talk to me. I looked out the front window. She was still there, along with the news crew. A few neighbors had come out to see what was happening. I called Omar. I need a favor, I said. What kind of favor? The kind that involves your old police contacts and a trespassing complaint. Omar had retired from the police force 3 years earlier to start his own private investigation business. He still had friends on the force. Are they on your property? He asked. Front porch. I'll make some calls. 20 minutes later, a patrol car pulled up. The officer spoke to Seren and the news crew for a few minutes. Then they all left. But I knew this wasn't over. I spent the evening researching Landon Pickett. His social media profiles were public, and they painted a picture of a man who was used to getting what he wanted. Photos of expensive cars, exotic vacations, and a rotating cast of women. What interested me most were the comments on his posts. Several women had accused him of being a player and a liar. One had called him a homewrecker who targets married women. I screenshot everything and added it to my evidence folder. Then I found something that made my evening. Landon had posted a photo from the previous night, him and Seren at the hotel bar, with the caption, "When you know, you know. New beginnings. Blessed." The comments were brutal. Someone had linked the Reddit thread, and people were roasting him for breaking up a marriage. His follower count was dropping in real time, but the best comment came from someone named Fitness Guru 2019. Elite Fitness doesn't tolerate trainers who sleep with married clients. Might want to update your resume. I looked up Elite Fitness Gym's employee handbook online. Sure enough, they had a strict policy against personal relationships between trainers and clients. I sent an anonymous email to the gym's corporate office with screenshots of Landon's posts and a link to the Reddit thread. Then I went to bed with a smile on my face. Thursday morning brought new developments. Tara had been suspended from her job pending an investigation. Bree had been removed from the substitute teacher list. Jen had been placed on administrative leave from the bank. But more importantly, Landon had posted a long, rambling apology on Instagram, claiming that he had been manipulated and that the whole thing was a misunderstanding. The comments on his apology were even more savage than before. People were sharing screenshots of his deleted posts and calling him out for trying to rewrite history. Then Elite Fitness Gym posted their own statement. Elite Fitness has terminated the employment of Landon Pickett effective immediately. We do not tolerate unprofessional conduct from our staff members. I was reading the gym's statement when my phone rang. Unknown number. Hayes, this is Landon. We need to talk. I don't think we do. You're destroying my life, man. I lost my job because of you. You lost your job because you violated company policy by sleeping with a married client. Seren told me she was getting divorced. When did she tell you that? Months ago, when we started training together. So you've been having an affair for months. There was a pause. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. How was it supposed to happen? She said you guys were already done. She said you didn't care about her anymore. And you believed that? I wanted to believe it. At least he was honest. What do you want from me, Landon? I want you to stop. Stop posting about me. Stop sending emails to my employers. Stop ruining my reputation. I haven't posted anything about you. I haven't sent any emails about you specifically. I shared public information that you and Seren's friends created. The gym fired me because of the Reddit thread. The gym fired you because you violated their employee handbook. That's not my fault. Please, man, I'm sorry. It was a mistake. Yes, it was. Your mistake. I hung up, but Landon's call had given me an idea. If Seren had been telling him for months that we were getting divorced, she had been planning this betrayal for a long time, which meant there might be more evidence I hadn't found yet. I spent Thursday afternoon going through our joint accounts more carefully. Bank statements, credit card bills, phone records, and digital receipts. What I found made my anger burn even hotter. Hotel charges going back 3 months. Restaurant bills for 2 people when I was working late. Purchases at Victoria's Secret and expensive lingerie stores. She had been using our shared money to fund her affair with Landon. I calculated the total. $347.83 in affair-related expenses over the past 3 months. I forwarded everything to my attorney with a note. Additional evidence of adultery. Request reimbursement for affair expenses in divorce settlement. Thursday evening brought the most interesting development yet. Jen called me. Hayes, we need to meet. Why? Because I have information you need to hear. What kind of information? The kind that will change everything you think you know about what happened. We agreed to meet Friday morning at a coffee shop downtown. Not the same one where Seren had met her investment banker candidate, but a quiet place where we could talk privately. I had no idea what Jen wanted to tell me, but her tone suggested it was significant. Friday morning couldn't come fast enough. Friday morning arrived gray and drizzly, matching my mood as I drove to meet Jen at Corner Cafe downtown. I had spent Thursday night wondering what information could possibly change my understanding of the situation. The evidence was clear. My wife had publicly cheated on me with her personal trainer, while her friends documented everything for social media entertainment. What else was there to know? Jen was already waiting when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth with her back to the wall. She looked tired, stressed, and younger than her 33 years. Her usual confident demeanor was gone, replaced by something that looked like guilt. "Thanks for meeting me," she said as I sat down. "This better be important. I have a conference call with my attorney in an hour." She stirred her coffee nervously. "It is important. More important than you realize." "So talk." Jen took a deep breath. "The dating day wasn't Tara's idea." "Whose idea was it?" "Mine." I stared at her. "What?" "I planned the whole thing. I suggested it to Tara. I helped pick the guys. I encouraged them to post everything online. It was my idea from start to finish." "Why would you do that?" "Because I wanted Seren's marriage to fail." The words hung in the air between us like a confession at a murder trial. I felt something shift in my chest, a realignment of everything I thought I understood about the past week. "Why?" I asked. Jen's hands were shaking slightly as she reached for her coffee cup. "Because I've been in love with you for 8 years. The coffee shop seemed to get quieter around us. I could hear the espresso machine hissing, the quiet murmur of other conversations, the rain pattering against the windows. But Jen's words echoed in my head like a shout in an empty room. "What did you say?" "I've been in love with you since the day Seren introduced us. At your wedding reception, when you made that speech about finding your best friend and your soulmate in the same person, I realized that I had never felt about anyone the way you felt about her." "Jen, let me finish, please." She wiped her eyes with a napkin. "I spent 8 years watching you two together, watching you try so hard to make her happy, watching her take you for granted, and I kept thinking, if I were your wife, I would never treat you like that. So you decided to destroy my marriage?" "I decided to help it destroy itself. Seren was already unhappy. She was already complaining about you to anyone who would listen. She was already flirting with Landon at the gym. I just accelerated the process. I felt like I was looking at a puzzle where someone had suddenly revealed that half the pieces belonged to a completely different picture." "How long have you been planning this?" "Months. I started suggesting girls' nights out, encouraging Seren to complain about your marriage, introducing her to new people. When she started training with Landon, I could see the attraction immediately. So I encouraged that too." "You encouraged her to have an affair." "I encouraged her to be honest about what she wanted. And what she wanted wasn't you." The casual cruelty of that statement hit me harder than I expected. Not because it wasn't true, but because hearing it from someone who claimed to love me made it somehow worse. "The dating day was supposed to be the final push," Jen continued. "I knew if we made it public enough, documented enough, you would have no choice but to file for divorce." "And then what? You thought I would just fall into your arms?" "I thought maybe, eventually, you might see me differently, without Seren in the picture." I stared at this woman I had known for 8 years, this person I had trusted, who had been to my house hundreds of times, who had been a bridesmaid in my wedding. She was a stranger. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" I asked. "I've freed you from a marriage that was making you miserable. You've destroyed 4 people's lives, mine, Seren's, Landon's, and your own. Seren and Landon will be fine. They deserve each other. And what about Tara and Bree? They lost their jobs because of your plan." For the first time, Jen looked genuinely remorseful. "I didn't think about that part." "You didn't think about a lot of things." I stood up to leave, but Jen grabbed my arm. "Hayes, wait." I know this is a lot to process, but maybe we could what? Date? Get married? Live happily ever after? I pulled my arm free. Jen, you manipulated my wife into having a public affair. You orchestrated the humiliation of my marriage for your own selfish purposes. You cost two innocent people their jobs. And you think I'm going to reward that behavior by giving you what you want? I did it for us. You did it for you. There is no us. There will never be an us. I walked out of the coffee shop and sat in my car for 10 minutes, trying to process what I had just learned. The rain was coming down harder now, turning the world outside my windshield into a blur of gray shapes. Everything I thought I knew about the past week had just shifted. Seren was still guilty of adultery, but she had been manipulated into the public spectacle by someone she trusted. Tara and Bree were still complicit, but they had been following Jen's lead without understanding the full scope of her plan. And Jen, the quiet one, the seemingly reluctant participant, had been the puppet master all along. I drove home and called my attorney. Robert, I need to ask you something about the divorce proceedings. What's on your mind? If I can prove that my wife was manipulated into the affair by a third party, does that change anything legally? Manipulated how? I explained what Jen had told me, leaving out her confession of love, but focusing on her role in orchestrating the events. Legally, it doesn't matter, Robert said. Adultery is adultery, regardless of who encouraged it. Your wife made the choice to cheat. The prenuptial agreement is still enforceable. What if I wanted to be more lenient in the settlement? That's your choice. You can agree to any terms you want as long as they're legal. I need to think about this. Take your time, but remember, Hayes, don't let guilt or sympathy cloud your judgment. Your wife still betrayed your marriage, regardless of who was pulling the strings. I spent Friday afternoon researching Jen's background. If she had been planning this manipulation for months, there might be evidence of it in her digital footprint. What I found was disturbing. Jen had been liking and commenting on my social media posts far more frequently than I had realized. She had been present at almost every social gathering Seren and I had attended in the past year. She had been asking detailed questions about our marriage during group conversations. Looking back with this new perspective, I could see the pattern. Jen had been studying our relationship, looking for weaknesses, and slowly working to exploit them. I found text message threads between Jen and Seren going back months. Jen had been systematically undermining our marriage with subtle comments and suggestions. Hayes seems stressed lately. Is everything okay at home? You deserve someone who appreciates how amazing you are. Have you ever thought about what you'd do if you weren't married? Landon seems really interested in you. That must be flattering. Each message was carefully crafted to plant seeds of doubt and dissatisfaction. Jen had been playing a long game, and she had played it expertly. But she had made one crucial mistake. She had confessed everything to me. Friday evening, I called Omar and asked him to meet me at my house. I needed to talk through this new information with someone I trusted. Omar arrived at 7 p.m. with a six-pack of beer and a grim expression. You look like someone who just found out the world is flat, he said. Close. I just found out that my wife's affair was orchestrated by someone who's been obsessed with me for 8 years. I told him everything Jen had confessed, showed him the text message evidence, and explained how the manipulation had unfolded. Omar listened without interrupting, occasionally shaking his head or muttering under his breath. So what are you going to do? He asked when I finished. I don't know. Part of me feels like I should expose Jen the same way I exposed everyone else. But another part of me feels sorry for Seren. She was manipulated by someone she trusted. Seren still made the choice to cheat, Omar pointed out. Jen didn't force her to sleep with Landon. No, but she created the circumstances that led to it. Hayes, you can't save everyone, and you can't fix 8 years of marriage problems just because you found out someone was stirring the pot. I know, but it changes how I feel about the whole situation. Omar finished his beer and looked at me seriously. What does your gut tell you to do? My gut tells me that Jen needs to face consequences for what she did, but not the same consequences as everyone else, because her crime was different. What kind of consequences? The kind that makes sure she can't do this to anyone else. I spent Friday night planning my response to Jen's confession. By Saturday morning, I knew exactly what I was going to do. First, I compiled all the evidence of Jen's manipulation into a comprehensive file: text messages, social media interactions, timeline of events, and a detailed summary of her confession. Then, I wrote a letter to Seren. Seren, it began, I want you to know the truth about what happened to our marriage. Not the version your friends told you, and not the version you've been telling yourself, but the actual truth. I explained everything Jen had confessed, provided the evidence, and made it clear that while Seren was still responsible for her choices, she had been manipulated by someone she trusted. I'm not writing this to get back together, I concluded. Our marriage is over, and the divorce will proceed as planned. But you deserve to know that your best friend has been systematically undermining your life for her own purposes. What you do with that information is up to you. I sent the letter by certified mail and email, making sure she would receive it. Then I wrote a second letter, this one to Tara and Bree. You both lost your jobs because you participated in what you thought was a harmless prank organized by a friend, it began. I want you to know that you were manipulated by someone with a hidden agenda. I provided them with the same evidence I had given Seren, along with an explanation of how Jen had orchestrated the entire event. This doesn't excuse your participation, I wrote, but it does explain why you were so enthusiastic about something that was ultimately designed to destroy a marriage. I hope this information helps you understand what really happened. I sent those letters on Saturday morning. On Saturday afternoon, I wrote one final letter. This one was addressed to Jen. Jen, it began, thank you for your honesty yesterday. It was illuminating to learn the truth about what you've been doing for the past 8 years. I attached copies of all the evidence I had compiled, along with a detailed timeline showing how her manipulation had unfolded. I want you to know that I've shared this information with Seren, Tara, and Bree, I continued. They all deserve to know what kind of person they've been trusting with their secrets and their friendship. I've also shared this information with my attorney, who has advised me that what you did could constitute intentional interference with a marriage, which is a tort in this state. However, I've decided not to pursue legal action on one condition. You will stay away from me, from Seren, and from anyone else involved in this situation. You will not contact any of us directly or indirectly. You will not attempt to justify or explain your actions. You will disappear from our lives completely. If you violate this condition, I will pursue every legal remedy available to me, including civil litigation and criminal charges where applicable. I hope you get the help you need, but you will get it far away from the people whose lives you've damaged. I signed the letter and sent it by certified mail. Then I sat back and waited for the consequences to unfold. Sunday morning brought the first response. A text from Seren. We need to talk, not about us, but about Jen. Sunday afternoon brought a call from Tara. Hayes, I just read your letter. I had no idea. I am so sorry. Sunday evening brought an email from Bree. Thank you for telling me the truth. I feel like such an idiot. But the most satisfying response came Monday morning. Jen had moved out of her apartment over the weekend. Her social media accounts had been deactivated. Her phone number had been disconnected. She had vanished completely. Omar called me Monday afternoon with an update from his police contacts. Jen filed a harassment complaint against you, he said. What kind of complaint? She claims you're spreading false information about her and trying to ruin her reputation. What did the police say? They read your letter and looked at the evidence. They told her that sharing truthful information isn't harassment, and that if she didn't want people to know what she had done, she shouldn't have done it. So I'm in the clear? You're in the clear. But Hayes, be careful. Someone who would orchestrate an 8-year manipulation campaign isn't going to give up easily. She's gone, Omar. She disappeared. For now. But obsession doesn't just go away because someone changes their address. Monday evening, I got an unexpected visitor. Seren was standing on my front porch when I got home from work. She looked different somehow. Smaller, sadder, older. "Can we talk?" she asked. "Just for a few minutes." I let her in, but we stayed in the living room. I didn't offer her coffee or invite her to sit down. "I read your letter," she said. And I feel like an idiot. Jen has been my best friend for 8 years. I told her everything. I trusted her with my deepest thoughts and feelings. She used that trust to manipulate you. I know. But Hayes, that doesn't excuse what I did. I still made the choice to cheat. I still humiliated our marriage in public. I still betrayed you. I was surprised by her honesty. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I want you to know that I understand what I did, and I understand why you can't forgive me. Even if Jen manipulated the situation, I'm still responsible for my choices." "What about Landon?" "I broke up with him yesterday. He was just as manipulated as I was, but in a different way. Jen told him I was already getting divorced. She set us both up." "Where does that leave you?" "Alone, which is what I deserve." Seren looked around the living room, taking in the space we had shared for 8 years. "I'm not going to contest the divorce," she said. "And I'm not going to ask for anything beyond what I'm legally entitled to under the prenup." Which is nothing. Which is nothing, she agreed. "I know that now. Seren, I need you to understand something. Even if Jen manipulated the situation, our marriage was already in trouble. We both know that." "I know. But maybe if we had talked to each other instead of to other people, we could have worked through it." "Maybe. But we didn't." "No, we didn't." She turned to leave, then paused at the door. "Hayes, I hope someday you can forgive me. Not for my sake, but for yours. Carrying that anger will hurt you more than it hurts me. I'm working on it. And I hope you find someone who appreciates what a good man you are. Just not your best friend." For the first time in our conversation, she smiled. "Definitely not my best friend." After Seren left, I poured myself a drink and sat on my back porch, watching the sun set over the neighborhood where we had planned to raise children and grow old together. The divorce would be final in 60 days. The house was mine, the savings account was mine, and my life was my own again. But for the first time since this whole ordeal began, I felt something other than anger or satisfaction. I felt free.